In recent news, celebrities like Amir Khan and Ronit Roy have actually purchased property worth crores. In this situation, they are mere examples, but if you look at the larger picture, real estate today is still considered to be a bigger asset class and an excellent opportunity for investment and to maintain your portfolio as well. Now, but before diving into the real estate market, the market analysis, and also to understand asset curation, we need to understand a lot of jargons and terminologies that real estate actually has and people tend to misinterpret. Now, in the longer run and in the upcoming videos, I'll be using these jargons, so it will be very easier for you when I'm explaining the jargons today itself. So, hi guys, this is Shubham and we speak reality. So in today's video, we're actually going to discuss about a client who came to me who actually wanted to invest into different avenues of real estate. Now he had certain funds with him and he actually wanted to invest in land, or he was just asking me whether an apartment is better. And when I asked him a few terminologies at that time, he looked blank. At that time I realized that certain terminologies are very important for us to understand, and with respect to that I had to divide it into different parts. So let us consider 4 different avenues here. One is land, one is going to be an apartment, one is rental, and one general terminologies which are being used in real estate. So let's dive into it. Explaining this to my client, what exactly land parcel is and how exactly land is divided, let's go step by step. So in India, generally land is of 2 types. One is your agricultural and one is your non-agricultural piece of land. In India, almost 60% of the land available for sale is actually agricultural. The non-agricultural piece of land is hardly 35 to 40%. The next 5 or 10% which I'm actually having a buffer about is just because that particular land parcel is not being distributed or is still not available for sale as well. Now, coming to how exactly this particular part is divided and how you need to go ahead, there are certain things that you need to go ahead with. You can say the factors or you can say terminologies that I'm going to use right now are still going to be very important for you to understand how exactly land has to be checked before buying. Now you need to check first that the land is a freehold land or a tri-party land or a leasehold land. Let's go with what exactly is a freehold land. A freehold land means there is only one single owner of that land parcel, and that means you're going to deal with that particular individual only. Now, when you're going to go with a tri-party piece of land, there are 3 major owners, and in this situation, let me divide it how exactly. Now, let's assume now there is a town planning which is coming up, and the authority over there is trying to acquire land parcel to make new cities and new development over there. At that time, the authorities does not completely take away the right from the previous owners. They give them the compensation so that they can give the land parcels for the authority to make sure that a new development is coming up. And these particular piece of land is then segregated to developers as well as individual owners who actually want to make some development in that particular piece of land. In this situation, the tri-party is going to be the previous owners, though they might not have any active vote in the, you can say, the authority of the land. The authorities, that is your SIDCO or your Mahadas, will be acquiring land, and third will be the existing owners who are going to pay for it. The last comes is a leasehold piece of land. Leasehold piece of land, majorly in India, is not that common, but it is very frequent in your Gulf countries and is also very much evident in your US as well. Because in these states and these countries, the major chunk or the major thought process is that the land is given by God and no one can actually own a piece of land. So they have long leases, let's say assume for 50 years or 99 years, or as per the documentation that they have actually mentioned. As a client, when you actually go to purchase a particular property or a particular apartment in a building, the sales manager over there will be talking to you completely in jargons. Okay, and this is a time when you might be having a lot of queries and you will be thankful that you have actually watched this video. Okay, you understood what that particular guy is talking about. But we're going to go by one. The first thing that he's generally going to say is that the amount that you're going to pay is directly going to an escrow account. The people over here get confused what exactly an escrow account is, and it is completely understandable. An escrow account is an account which is actually meant only and only for that particular building or that particular project. Now let's assume that there are 3 buildings that the developer is actually being constructing, A, B and C. Each 3 buildings are going to have a different escrow account. That means if you as an individual are going to buy an apartment in building B, the escrow, you cannot pay in the building A's funds. This is simply to keep segregation between 2-3 different buildings and 3 different constructions. And also because at times the construction processes are different and at different levels, to just keep it segregated. The second part is an APF number. That is nothing but your approved project funds. Approved project funds is actually given by, or this number is actually given by the banks, in which that particular fund is actually used only for constructing that particular project, and this is actually given by the banks. This approves that, or you can say this proves that that developer is having some sense of recognition in the market. APF number generally is not given to any random developer, and it requires a thorough instigation and investigation as well. So this is taken care by the bank's team as well as the developers team as well. So realize this: if there is a developer who has an active APF number and with multiple banks, the developer is definitely recognized and he is a good developer at the end of the day. Second most important thing which people generally don't consider and they keep on talking will be the CC and the OCs. CC is nothing but the completion certificate as well as the commencement certificate. So when you enter the sales office and you think that the building is going to be under construction, the CC that you're going to talk about is going to be commencement certificate. It's not going to be about the completion certificate. People generally misinterpret these two terms very often, and this is where the normally a communication gap arrives. Now, commencement certificate is a certificate which is given to the developer in phases. They're not given at the same time. Let's just assume that there is a developer A who actually wants to develop, or you can construct a building which is almost of 35 floors. He won't get a commencement certificate of 35 floors at a stretch. He will be first getting the commencement certificate up to 10 floors, and after that up to 15, and then he'll go on to the 35th floor. This reason is because at times there are a lot of approvals which are changed, and there are a lot of plans which are changed and which has to be approved by the RERA. And once RERA approves this, then and then only the above commencement activity is actually been started, and hence the commencement certificate is given. Completion certificate is as simple as it can sound. Once the construction is completed, along with the proper rules and regulation, and the authority checks whether each and every formulation, you can say each and every formation has been correct, then and then you get the completion certificate. And once it is ready for occupancy, or you can say it meets the standard of occupancy, you get an occupancy certificate. Carpet area, built up area, and super built up area. These jargons are really widely used and is actually available on all the different platforms available. So I'm assuming that this particular jargons are known to you guys. But okay, there is just one tip that I want to add. If in case any developer is actually selling a property on super built up area, just remember there is something sketchy going on, and just be wary of it. Realize this, that in super built up area, automatically a 35% to 50% of the loading is added, which you might not be able to use also. So just be fair. Now that I'm going to go ahead is going to be a topic of redevelopment. So redevelopment, the jargons are used, but in this situation, they're not that well informed and people generally don't know about it as it's not spoken enough. But the topic itself, redevelopment, is quite rampant, especially in cities like Pune, in Mumbai, etc. Now before your society goes into redevelopment, there are certain criteria that a building has to fulfill. The first criteria will be that the building has to be of a minimum age of 30 years. If in case it exceeds 30 years, automatically the building goes for redevelopment. Now with the 30 years of age, there is structural audit which has been conducted. The structural audit automatically gives you two different results, whether the structure is weak or the structure is strong. If the structure is weak, the town planning authority deems that particular society or building as non-livable, and at that time automatically a redevelopment process begins. At that time the society has no chance of say in that particular decision. But if in case the structure is strong enough, at that time the committee members come together with the chairperson, the treasurer, the secretary, along with the owners of the apartments of that building, and with that they come to a majority of 51%, and then only they can go for redevelopment. Now once this has been done, they get different auctions, you can say different tenders from the developers, and with the correct tender they go ahead with. Once the developer gets the IOD, that is your intimation of disapproval, short mein building todne ka or excavation start karne ka certificate. If in case the developer does not get that, you cannot demolish nor can you go for excavation. Once they get that, you can start your redevelopment process. After this, what begins is your repurchase allocation. At that time, the pre-existing members are given an authority or given a chance on what exact floor or which exactly unit you're going to get. In redevelopment, automatically you get a greater appreciation. Also, your FSI increases up to 30% of the existing FSI that you're going to get. But mind you, if in case your FSI is something below 300 square feet, then automatically you get an above 300 square feet or minimum 300 square feet. But if in case you have an FSI which goes up to 700 square feet, the maximum FSI that you are going to get after redevelopment is going to be not greater than 750 square feet. So just be aware of it. So jargons that I've actually used till now is definitely going to be handy, at least to understand the basics of real estate in the upcoming videos. Obviously, I have not touched each and every jargon, and I'll make sure that you understand the jargons as in time we go ahead. But in the upcoming videos, where we are going to talk about market research, we are going to talk about economics, we are going to talk about politics, and how these aspects affect real estate as an industry. Not just that, the upcoming video, which is going to specify on the demand and supply of real estate in certain places and how exactly it functions and how exactly it actually depends upon a lot of locations, and also the priority is what we are going to discuss about. This is me, Shubham, signing out.